Can we talk about the overwhelming number of young people getting filler and Botox nowadays? Filler and Botox have been around for a decent amount of time at this point, but it feels like in recent years, they have both become so much more popular, and personally, I am putting the blame for that on social media. We see a lot of influencers and celebrities on social media who have clearly had some filler and Botox done and various other work, I'm sure, and that makes other people at home seeing these social media posts feel like they also have to go and get filler and Botox and whatever to continue to adhere to beauty standards. We're getting to a point where I feel like I'm seeing more people on social media with lip filler than without, and I'm sure that is definitely an over-exaggeration because there have to be more people without filler than with, but it truly just feels like every day I'm seeing more and more people with filler. Now, I do just want to go ahead and put out a little disclaimer that even though I'm talking about filler and Botox and the people who get these procedures, I'm not judging the people who get these procedures, and I have known a lot of people in my life who have gone ahead and gotten Botox and filler, and I don't think it is necessarily a bad thing for people to do and to want to do. My point of making this video is more of a commentary on society as a whole and what leads us to getting these procedures. So if you are someone who has filler or you have Botox, I'm not trying to shame you or talk negatively about you at all, but I want to more talk about like the reasons of why we feel the need to get this work done and why it's become so normalized. So yeah, just want to say that. I don't want anyone to be like mad at me for talking about this topic, but I know some people probably will because it's very common. But yeah, I'm not shaming anyone, not judging. Now, before we get too far into this video, I do want to talk about what filler and Botox were originally used for before they became this huge industry that they are today. Now, filler is not a new concept, and we actually have records of fillers being used as far back as the 1830s. Now, of course, I'm sure the fillers they used back then were very, very different than the fillers we use nowadays, and who knows what they were injecting into their faces. It probably wasn't the greatest stuff to be injecting into your faces, but who knows? Nowadays, the most popular filler that we know, Juvederm, was actually approved by the FDA in 2006. It's not been on the market for too long, but filler in general, not a new concept. Botox was approved for cosmetic use by the FDA in 2002, and obviously Botox has a lot of other medical uses other than cosmetic uses to remove wrinkles. It can treat headaches, it can treat TMJ, excessive sweat, and overall just has a lot of uses, but wrinkles is what we are talking about its use for today. Now, the uses of filler over time has definitely changed a lot. When we look at like the early 2000s when Juvederm was first approved by the FDA, back then it was more primarily used for an older demographic because as we age, our faces naturally start to lose volume. We see less volume in our cheeks, our lips, all over our face in general, and as a way to regain some of that youthful plumpness we see and to just look a little bit younger, people would inject their cheeks, their lips, and whatever other parts of their faces that are naturally plump just to give a little bit of that youthful plumpness back. And Botox used to be more primarily used to reduce the look of already present wrinkles. Nowadays, we're seeing a lot of young people fully changing the look of their face using filler, whether it be making their lips bigger and changing the shape, getting a non-surgical nose job with filler, changing their jawline, making their cheeks bigger, filling in their under eyes. There is a lot that people are doing nowadays, not necessarily to make themselves look younger, but to make themselves look different to fit specific beauty standards. Also, Botox is being used more nowadays, not to reduce the look of already present wrinkles, but also just to make it so we don't get wrinkles at all. Preventative Botox has become a really big thing nowadays. Now, I personally am very much for people getting cosmetic procedures done if it is something that they are truly insecure about and it is something that they think will really improve their confidence. But I do think nowadays with the use of filler and Botox, we're seeing a lot more people getting these procedures, not because it's something that they are truly insecure about, but rather because they are chasing a trend or a beauty standard. And I just think it's not great. And we can actually see a lot of young women chasing these beauty standards and getting these procedures, actually doing the opposite of what they're setting out to do. I have seen so many videos on TikTok of young women in their early 20s who have gotten all sorts of filler and Botox to try to make themselves look more beautiful and more attractive and fit the beauty standards. But in turn, it's actually made themselves look quite a bit older. I've seen numerous videos where there are women in their early 20s who end up looking like they're in their 30s or sometimes even 40s, which obviously being in your 30s and 40s and looking like you're in your 30s and 40s is not a bad thing. But I think once you have a 20-year-old looking like they are 40, we're doing something wrong. Social media has also just really warped our views on beauty standards, especially when we see trends related to beauty come and go so fast. I mean, we can look at the trend of BBLs, which was a huge thing within the past 10 years. If you don't know what a BBL is, it is a Brazilian butt lift, which is essentially a procedure where you go in for surgery, they take fat from one part of your body and they put it in your butt, in your hips, to give you that big voluptuous booty, which was really the big trendy thing to have for a really long time. But unfortunately, in recent years, the BBL has gone out of trend, making it so that everyone who got their BBL in the past no longer fits the beauty standard anymore. We can see this with the Kardashians, who were really the epitome of like the BBL. Especially when we look at Kim and Khloe, they were known for having these big booties, but as the trends changed, they both went and got their BBLs either reversed completely or at least minimized and toned down, because having the big BBL booty is just no longer trendy and being a little bit more slender is now. I think having a body shape be trendy is just so, it's so bad. We really shouldn't have body shapes be trends. It's so problematic in so many ways, and it's so bad for all of us and our mental health and our view on ourselves. It's just, it's so bad. Right now, we're seeing a lot of people use filler to try to chase these new beauty standards, which are potentially just trends, like the big juicy lips, having big plump cheekbones and angular jaws. It's all trends. These weren't things that were necessarily something that everyone had or everything wanted 10 years ago, but now it's super trendy and popular to have these specific features. So now everyone's using what they can to get them, which is filler. I think we're also starting to see a lot of younger women start to get Botox earlier than previous generations because of just how much of a negative association a lot of us have with the thought of aging as women. It has been really taught to us that as we age, we lose value as women, which I just think, first of all, is not true. I think it's big bullshit. And why should our value as women be fully dependent on our looks and whether or not we have wrinkles? It's just such an incredibly negative thing to put in young women's minds. And it's led to so many women in their early 20s feel the need to go out and get Botox so that they never get wrinkles. Wrinkles are such a normal part of life, and I really think it is tragic that we are being so conditioned to think that they are such a negative and sometimes shameful thing to have. When we look at wrinkles and we see the signs of time and aging on someone's face, that should just mean that they have lived a long life, not that they are less valuable and less attractive. When we start to see wrinkles and other signs of aging on our face, we shouldn't be upset and shamed by them. We should feel happy that we have had the opportunity to live long enough to get those wrinkles on our face, because a lot of people unfortunately don't get that opportunity. Filler has become so normalized that we are really starting to see a lot of people who have developed filler blindness. I'm sure if you've been in like the beauty space for the past little bit, you've heard about people talking about brow blindness and blush blindness, which is essentially where you put on like way too much blush or like really overdid your eyebrows to the point where like you kind of look a little ridiculous, but you're so used to it, you don't think it's ridiculous. And we're seeing that same thing happen with filler, where people get so much filler, they become used to their appearance with filler, and so they keep going back in for more and more and more until they're just overfilled, but they don't even realize they're overfilled because they're just used to their appearance. A lot of people end up looking very uncanny valley due to being overfilled. Now, I think that one big reason why a lot of people don't take filler super seriously is because we've always been told that over time, the filler you get will be metabolized by your body. That just essentially means that over time, the filler will disappear and it will be gone and your body will just kind of remove it on its own. However, in recent years, we've actually had a lot of medical professionals come forward and say that, you know, it's not always the case. Sometimes it does not get metabolized as quickly as we are told it gets metabolized.
We've all been led to believe that temporary hyaluronic acid fillers last from 6 to 18 months. However, in January 2021, Dr. Mobin Master published an article in the Plastic and Reconstructive Journal about filler longevity that showed fillers may last a lot longer than we commonly believe. Using MRI scans, he found that of 10 patients who had filler more than 2 years ago, all 10 showed persistence of the filler longer than 2 years, including one lasting 12 years.
Not only can sometimes it stay a lot longer than we're told, but also it can migrate into other parts of our face, which obviously we don't want to happen. Lip filler migration is especially a big thing we see happening, where you can actually see people's filler leave the lines of their lips and start to go outside and give themselves kind of a little bit of a filler mustache look. I don't personally think is a good look. I don't think anyone does. A lip filler mustache is not the ideal placement of lip filler, obviously. Having lip fillers stay in the face a lot longer than we were told, or having it migrate to other areas, is definitely one of the causes of pillow face. Another reason why I think a lot of people don't take lip filler too seriously is because if something goes wrong, or if you don't like the effects of it, you can get it dissolved. Now, getting it dissolved is apparently supposed to be incredibly painful, and also getting it dissolved can have some not so great side effects. If you have had a lot of filler injected to the point where it has stretched out your skin and then gone to get it dissolved, it can leave your skin looking saggy and thin, and overall it can sometimes just leave you looking worse off than before you ever got that filler. Also, can we just talk about the cost of filler and Botox for a second? In the United States, one syringe of filler can cost between $500 to $1,000. Now, it depends on where you go to get it injected, what kind of filler they used. There are tons of variables which can impact the price, of course, but that is just so expensive. And what's worse is there are some injectors out there who, when giving you your injections, don't have your best interest truly in mind, but they want to fill your face so that they can fill their pockets. Basically, I have heard stories online of people going in to get filler and they want to get their lips done. But then after the injector does their lips, the injector tries to make them self-conscious about other parts of their face, whether it be their nose, their chin, their cheeks, whatever. And then before they know it, the patient walks out with a full face of filler and having spent a lot more money that they intended to. Now, of course, not every injector is going to be like that, and there are a lot of very professional injectors who do have your best interest at mind, and they don't want to overfill you and just really take advantage of you so that they can fill their pockets. But just be wary, there are some people who will try to make you insecure in order to make more money. And also, while talking about money, just to really show you how popular filler is and how it is continuing to get more and more popular, it was estimated that in 2022, the filler industry was worth $6 billion. But if it keeps growing at its current rate, the filler industry will be worth $13 billion by 2032. That is a lot of money and a lot of growth. And I feel like if we get to a point where the industry is worth $13 billion, oh, we're gonna see a lot more people keep getting filled. Before we go ahead and close out this video, I do just want to take a second to talk about some of the risks and side effects associated with filler and Botox, because I think it's very important to talk about. Now, of course, with any medical procedure or cosmetic procedure, there are going to be risks and side effects. Some of the more common ones I've seen talked about online are having lip filler migrate to other parts of the face, of course, having your lips become really hard and getting bumps on your face and your lips wherever you got injected. I've seen quite a few influencers actually talk about their experience with having random bumps on their face or having bumps on their lips, and it just being a very unpleasant experience. Those do seem, unfortunately, decently common when getting filler. Of course, not everyone has that experience, but it seems decently common. Some of the more serious and rare side effects and risks of getting filler are having blood flow to your face blocked off, leading to necrosis, and potentially having parts of your face literally fall off, or you going blind. And none of those sound fun, and they seem quite scary, and there are some really big horror stories related to people getting filler and having stuff like that happen. Also, I found an article online talking about Botox and how negative effects are likely being underreported, and it's estimated that up to 1 in 6 people have negative side effects due to Botox. 1 in 6 is not very good odds. And of course, I will have that article linked down below, along with a lot of the other information I got for this article, just, so you can check out the article and stuff for yourself. In the end, I really do think the number of people getting filler and Botox right now is truly alarming, and it really just goes to show how much we as a society are prioritizing our looks and attractiveness over the possible side effects and even the money it can cost. I think we really need some kind of internet renaissance to really tone down this over overemphasis we have on beauty and perfection right now. Social media and filters and Facetune are really just promoting these unrealistic appearances that then make people think they need to go and get work done so they can actually look like these pictures. You know, a lot of the times, even the people in these pictures, like Kylie Jenner, for example, she doesn't even look like her pictures regardless of the amount of work she's had done. I would really love to see more influencers and celebrities start posting more unfiltered photos so that we just don't have as much of an unrealistic beauty standard to try to live up to, because I feel like right now, that's what this all comes down to. We see so many people feeling the need to fill their face and get Botox to avoid wrinkles because of the unrealistic beauty standards we see online, and everyone wants to fit in and they want to fit the beauty standard and they want to be attractive, and so they're willing to get injected to fit that. If you are someone who has gotten filler and Botox in the past, or you're someone who is thinking about getting filler or Botox going forward, before you go ahead and book that appointment and actually get it done, really look in the mirror and think about why you want it. Is it something that will genuinely make you feel better about yourself, or are you chasing a beauty standard? I just think it's some food for thought and something we should take into account before we do make these changes. So what do you think about this increase in the use of filler and Botox in young people nowadays? Also, have you ever personally felt the pressure to get these kind of procedures done? And if you've gone ahead and done it, were you happy with the results or did you regret it? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!